Okay, so I have tweets here, and I wanted to do a set of bonus videos about how I would actually design this so that it looked a little bit more like, Twitter might. And with Twitter, you have, it looks kind of like this. This is the home page. So, we could go about and create a new page, of course, but I'll just use /tweets for now and just treat this as the index page. The first thing is there's kind of two columns here. So you may want to break this into basically the tweets page into two columns. And I can use Bootstrap's open recent. I can use Bootstrap's columns for this. So this is going to be inside of my tweets index view. I have a container here. They wouldn't really call it tweets, so they don't actually have like a header on this page, so I might get rid of that h1. And instead of using a table, I'm going to start to rely on Bootstrap's columns. So I can do this by putting a div class row. Every time you use their columns, you have to start with a row. And I'll end that container here. Tab this in a little bit. And then the first thing is going to be a column of, I don't know what this is. This is about like 4 and 8. With Bootstrap, the gridding system uses 12 columns by default. So if you have a row, you need 2 columns inside of it, or any number of columns that add up to 12, essentially. So I'll have a div here that is the thing on the left, and then I'm going to create another div column. And I always go medium, because that's just a breakpoint, and then I look at how it actually looks and then decide if I need to change the breakpoint later. But I just do that by default. So here, there's not going to be anything here. I could put something about the user, so I could put, for example, the current user. And by the way, we haven't talked too much about current user yet, but you can access the current user inside of any view. So I could do current user email just to see what actually shows up here. Okay, this looks pretty good. Something that you might want is to add a padding to the bottom of your nav bar, just because by default this kind of pushes everything up to the top, or even inside of a container, honestly, like a padding top. So that's something you can do if you want to go and edit the assets, style sheets. Yeah, you could put it at the bottom here, or you could even put it in Bootstrap customizations. I'll create a new style sheet, call it container. I like to create a new sheet for every new element. And now what I'm doing basically is just, editing the container. This will actually add to the container that currently exists. So let's try 1m. Did that work? Oh no, I forgot. When you create a new thing here, you actually have to import it as well. Import container. Refresh, there we go. So now there's a padding on the top here, just because I added a padding to the container. Cool. Okay, so I have this break now, but I'm going to use cards for this. So Bootstrap has cards, Bootstrap 4, and I'll just use a card so that it kind of looks the way I want it to. And you can use a card with an image kind, or just a blank card, maybe something like this. So I'll just use something like this, because this will just have like the user's information. But of course, I actually won't have anything to put inside of it for right now. I could put the user's email inside of the text of the card. And then it looks kind of like this. if I had like the users, if I had a username, I might put that here and then put the user email below it. And I have, links here as well. But for now, I can just get rid of all of these. And I just will have a card like this. Maybe I'll actually keep the top and call it like your account or something, just so that they know what they're looking at. Your account. Okay, that looks cool. Okay, and now I'm actually also going to end up using cards for tweets. Or actually, you know what might look really nice is Bootstrap has something called a list group. And this might be better because when you hover, the list group actually sort of copies how Twitter's thing works. So what if we use a list group? Is there one that is easy? Here's a basic example. But this doesn't have hover functionality. Button style. These are buttons, contextual classes, custom content. We'll first just do a list group, and if we want to turn it into links, then I think that'll change the hovering. So here we go. I'm going to get rid of this table. Get rid of that guy. Here the new tweet is going to be on top. So I'll start it out up here. I've got to mess with the formatting a little bit. And I need to start out with a list group around all the tweets. Oh, you hear that in the background? Grab the wrong thing. Sorry guys, there's a fire truck. And now I can close. No, it's not a table row. It's a UL. Oh, but I see that because there's table row inside of here that doesn't end. Oh, I deleted an end by accident. That's why. And deleted more stuff than I needed to. So we tab, all of this needs to be tabbed back a little bit. There we go. And then inside of here, I'm actually going to replace these table rows with this list group item thing. So each tweet is a list group item. And I'll end that. And inside the tweet, let's just look at what this looks like for now. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're getting there. Inside of here, I could have the top part, let's see. How can I do things inside of a list, like longer things in a list, like this? I could do a list group. That's already on the outside. And then inside of here, list group item heading. Okay, this makes sense. So inside of this list group item, I do, something like an H. I'll try H5 to see the size. Class list group item heading. Close this H5. And then here would be list group item text. And I might need, I'm just trying to figure out what to do with these buttons. Let's try a new paragraph tag for each one of them just to see what it's going to look like. These might end up being quite long. Okay. Okay, now it's really getting there. I probably just want to have all these on one line, so they don't need to be on different lines. Right now they're all different paragraphs. So actually, if I open a paragraph like this, and I put all these links inside of that paragraph, then I can close it afterwards, right here. Nope, there. And I can get rid of all of these paragraph and close paragraph tags. Cool. Okay. Oh, right. And this is the actual tweet show. So actually what I would love is if I could just click on the tweet and this would be the link. So let me replace the entire tweet with this show link. Now how do I do that again? These are examples. Yeah, you can just basically put a link inside the entire thing. So this could be a link to. Oh, and the way you do links that wrap around stuff in Rails is instead of link to and then the text, we'll skip this for now. I can do link to tweet and then do, and then it actually opens up a block. So inside of here, I would have whatever I actually want to have, and then here I would put end. So link to do will actually allow you to create a link that spans multiple lines. Let's see if this turns this into a link. It does, but it doesn't make it kind of makes the whole thing. Let's see. The problem with that, oh, I know. The link to has to have a class on it. Getting there. List group item. Oh, we don't need this li anymore. Cool. Okay, so let's get rid of that li and see how this works. Close. List group item action. So what's going on here, it seems like, oh, I don't think we need that link to for one thing. But why is this there? Okay, I have this tweet content. I'm trying to debug this now. Inside here, and this, and then I do this for each one. It might not be good to have links inside of links. Let's try removing this for a second and see if this fixes it. That may be the problem. But I would like to have links inside of links. If tweet user, what if I got rid of this? Yeah, I think the problem is it doesn't want us to have a link inside of a link. But why is it ending the link here? This relates to this. Link to tweet. This relates to this. And then this is each tweet. Let's try a little test there. Well, let me just put a link inside of here. Nope, it won't. Okay, so the problem is that links inside of this bigger link are breaking. So I may have to be satisfied right now with having this edit and destroy thing underneath this. Which, you know, is fine, or whatever. Maybe if you click on each one, then you actually get it. So here, if I click on each one of these, I see the actual tweet. How does Twitter deal with this? Let me try really quickly, just replacing that. No, never mind. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is actually customize the way a tweet looks. They have it so that there's a big pop-up. I'm not going to be dealing with pop-ups, but I can make it look kind of like this, right? So that'll be on the tweet show page. And so on the tweet show page, I'll basically be copying. I'm going to do this as a card. I will make it a row, so I'm going to do div row class equals row. And I'm doing this as a row so that I can sort of center this and make it more in the middle. And then I do a div, even when you have just one column, I like to do offset medium, let's say 2, and then column medium 8. So that will kind of center this and make it come in a little bit more. Oops. Div. Let's see if that's actually working properly. Yeah, this is more centered. It may be still a little bit wide, but we can deal with that later. It seems to actually be about the size of this. And now I'll make this a card. Let's go back and see what the card looks like. Something like this. Oops. If you actually paste Command Shift V, it'll keep the formatting of what you want it to be. So this top, the card title, I want to be the tweet user. Then I don't need this anymore. And then the tweet content can go inside of the card text. And then the link can be these links. The second one can be back. And remember, I need to add card link as a class on this. And I'll do the same with this. I'll replace this link and also add a card link class. So how does this look now? Oh, forgot to put the tweet user.email. That's what I want. Okay, that looks pretty all right. It's not the best thing, but it's also not the worst thing. Obviously, I haven't added additional functionality like showing the user's image. This little thing in between doesn't look super great, so I'll actually just get rid of that because I think the card links typically will go, will be padded enough. You may want to have the entire tweet on this page also be a card. That way the links show up at the bottom of the card. I could go back and make each of these a card as well, instead of like a list item. Or I could just get rid of the edit and destroy and stuff like that links on this page and just say that on an individual tweet, if you own it, you can edit the tweet. So this is kind of very basic now Twitter functionality. Of course, there's still a lot more that I could do to improve here. You could actually put the form for the new tweet at the top if you wanted to, instead of forcing someone to go to a new page. That would basically be like combining your index and your new tweet page. You could add like a user name, all sorts of other things to this, but this is, and then you can also have people upload like an image and then show that in the tweet. Oh, I just noticed something. When I added padding to the top of container, it made my navbar bigger, which I don't really want. So let me make a quick change here. All right, instead of adding a padding to the top of container, I'll actually add a padding to the bottom of the navbar. So let me rename this navbar. And then I'll do navbar. Actually, let's call it margin bottom. And now I need to update this to navbar. Did I call it margin top by accident? I did. That was silly. The problem with margin bottom, though, is that it'll put a margin inside of on the home page right here. So this won't be like flush up against the top. You can fix this by pulling the entire Jumbotron up a little bit as well, but it's not an ideal solution. So, you might actually be better off creating, let's see, user example. You might be better off creating like a whole new container for tweets right here and adding padding onto the top of that container. I'm not going to be dealing with that for now. I'll just leave this as is. And you could center this new tweet thing as well if you want, with something like center right at the top there. But this is just some basic idea of how you might want to get styling to have it look a little bit more like Twitter.